When I stepped out of the taxi, fresh off a 14-hour flight and still in my dusty army fatigues, the last thing I expected to see was a stranger casually grilling hot dogs on my porch. He waved like I was just a friendly neighbor passing by. "Hey man, you here for the open house?" I didn't respond. I couldn't. My throat constricted. My porch, my property. But the house vanished. My cabin, the one my father built with his own two hands, razed. In its stead, a dog park. And the war I never prepared for began. My name is Connor Reed. I was in the United States Army for 12 years, 3 of which were spent deployed overseas in combat areas. My family's property was my haven between deployments. 60 untouched acres just outside a quiet mountain town, a place where you could still hear birds more than traffic. My grandfather taught me how to hunt there. My father built our log cabin on that land himself. No contractors, no blueprints, just sweat, skill, and a whole lot of pride. Before I left for my final deployment, I made sure everything was in order. I filed protections under the Service Members Civil Relief Act, the SCRA. It's a federal law meant to shield active duty service members from things like foreclosure, forced sales, or unlawful leases while deployed. In short, my land was legally locked down, untouchable, or so I thought. When I returned, my first sign that something was wrong wasn't the hot dog guy, it was the road. The gravel drive I grew up driving on was gone, replaced by a smooth paved street with a name like Whispering Pines Lane. A picket fence now ran the border of what used to be my tree line. And where did my cabin used to be? Not even a pile of rubble, just a well-manicured lawn with loose dogs running around behind a sign that read, Silver Pines HOA Pet Recreation Area. I was stunned. I wandered around like a specter, by kids on scooters and waving neighbors who told me hello, without a clue they were living on stolen property. My property. I finally discovered a welcome center for the new HOA in a building that seemed like a golf club. Inside, air-conditioned fake comfort greeted my eyes, along with soft jazz playing from invisible speakers. Seated behind a gleaming desk was a woman, looking fresh out of a real estate brochure. "Can I help you?" she asked without looking up. "Yeah," I said, dropping my duffel. "I think you sold my land." That got her attention. "Your name?" "Connor Reed. I own the 60 acres this entire subdivision is built on." She typed, clicked, smiled. "Oh, I see. Well, according to our records, this land was listed as vacant and unused when the Silver Pines development was approved. You must be mistaken." "Mistaken?" I pulled out my military orders, my old utility bills, photos of the cabin. My family's owned land there for 3 generations. I was abroad. This never should have happened. Her response? A polite shrug. "Well, sir, everything was filed legally regarding sales and zoning changes. If you believe there's been a mistake, you'll need to contact our legal department." I did more than that. I went straight to the county clerk's office the next morning, and that's where the real horror unfolded. A file, neatly put together, claimed that I had abandoned the land and that the property had been foreclosed due to neglected taxes and dereliction. All lies. I showed the clerk my SCRA paperwork and deployment records. Her face went pale. She handed me a copy of the documents submitted during the sale. My signature was on them. Only, I'd never signed a thing. Forgery. I dug deeper. Turns out the Silver Pines Homeowners Association had been incorporated just months before my deployment ended. They worked with a shady real estate broker, rezoned the property, and sold parcels to developers using fraudulent paperwork. My name had been misspelled on one deed. Another had an outdated address. None of it passed a basic background check. But no one had checked. No one cared. They saw land. They saw a soldier overseas. They saw opportunity. I contacted the Department of Justice. I called a lawyer, Malik Rains, a sharp ex-JAG attorney known for handling SCRA violations. He was furious. "This is theft, institutional theft," he said, "and they thought you'd never come back." We filed a federal lawsuit within 10 days. The HOA panicked. Turns out I wasn't their only victim. 2 other veterans had lost land to similar HOAs in the county, both during deployments. My case made the local news. then national, CNN, MSNB, Military Times. Veterans groups rallied behind me. Senators called for investigations. Protesters marched outside the Silver Pines office. Emails surfaced from the HOA board, discussing how off-the-grid parcels were easier to seize quietly. In one email, a board member literally wrote, "The guy's overseas. He won't even notice it's gone." They didn't just notice me, they woke me up, and now I was leading hell in. 6 months later, we resolved in federal court. The HOA was shut down. The development company was penalized $2.4 million and had its licenses revoked in 3 states. The real estate broker went to jail for wire fraud and document tampering, and me, I received my land back. All 60 acres. The dog park? Gone. The houses? Most had to be bought out or rehomed, but I made sure the new deeds clearly spelled out, this land was stolen from a veteran. It is now protected. Silver Pines became a national example of HOA overreach and what happens when you mess with the wrong soldier. Last week, I stood on the same porch my dad once built. The cabin's gone, but I've started building a new foundation, this time backed up by law, legacy, and something much more powerful, the truth. Some wars are not fought abroad. Sometimes they're fought in your own front yard. And sometimes you win. Not just mad. I was preparing for war, but not the kind they were expecting. See, while I'd spent years in the military, I wasn't just infantry. I specialized in legal logistics, property acquisition, base operations, and land rights enforcement in foreign zones. I knew the system, and more importantly, I knew how to fight back. I gathered every shred of evidence, military orders, property deeds, proof of ownership, even the SRA protections I had filed before deployment. Then I made a single phone call to the Department of Defense. Turns out when a soldier's legal rights are violated during active duty, especially by a civilian organization and profiting off protected federal land, the government takes it very seriously. Within days, I had a military legal team assigned to my case. Within 2 weeks, a federal investigation was opened into Silver Pines' HOA. Within a month, the subdivision that once stood illegally on my land was served a cease and desist order by federal marshals. The fallout, glorious. Every sale made on my land, invalid. Every mortgage tied to it, nullified. The homeowners who had no idea their dream homes were built on stolen ground were offered temporary relocation stipends by the state while the case was resolved. The HOA tried to fight it. They shouted about their investments, the value of the neighborhood, and how they followed every rule. But the law didn't agree. Then came the real hammer. It turned out that Silver Pines' HOA had done it before, on a smaller scale, to veterans, elderly landowners, and others too powerless to fight back. My case blew the whole thing wide open. This triggered a full-scale audit. They uncovered fraud, perjury, forgery, and the illegal seizure of federally protected land. The HOA president, Carl Jennings, arrested. 2 other board members, same fate. Their shell company, dismantled. The dog park they built on the ashes of my old cabin, bulldozed. And then, poetic justice. The federal government decided to repurpose my land into a joint military training and veteran outreach facility. Not only did I get it all back, but the subdivision that tried to steal it was literally erased from the map. One morning, giant trucks rolled in. Excavators tore through white fences and pastel-painted homes. Most of the residents had already vacated under court order. The rest were removed, legally, forcibly. By week's end, Silver Pines was a ghost town. 2 weeks later, military engineers arrived. They built a modern operations center. Then came the cabins, strong, purposeful, and built for those who served. The land would now house veterans in transition, offer therapy services, and host specialized training. And me? I was hired as the operations director, on the land that had always been mine. 1. Afternoon, walking the fence line with a clipboard, I noticed a figure just past the fence line. Carl Jennings, a disheveled suit, hair rumpled, scraggly, staring at the facility that had done to him what he had done to so many others. He didn't say anything. Neither did I, but I did grin. Then I turned and walked away, onto my property, my future. Justice, no matter how long it takes, always finds a way. To all being pushed around, lied to, or stepped on by people who think they can cheat the system, remember this. Sometimes the quietest have the most powerful allies. When you steal from a soldier, you aren't picking a fight with one man. You're declaring war on everyone standing behind him. To all of you who have ever felt impotent against money, influence, or corruption, remember, truth has power, and justice, even if delayed, never forgets. Rise up and stand your ground. Protect what is yours. Never let anyone silence your voice. Thanks for listening to my story. If you liked it inspiring, moving, or just plain satisfying to watch justice unfold, please like, share, and subscribe for more powerful stories like this one. This is The Human Stories. Until next time, stay strong and stay heard.